Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Zleya Keskin, and I have the amazing Derya Kucukali with me. Derya is an integrative nutritional health coach, and she's also the business owner of Organic Instinct. Welcome, Derya.
Thank you so much for having me, Zuleha. Appreciate it.
I appreciate your presence. And just to want to make a point that Derya does have her own YouTube channel as well. It's called Natural Path with Derya. I will put it in the comment section in case you would like to check it out. There are some amazing podcasts that have been done there. Now, before I start asking Derya questions, you might be asking me or yourself, why is Zuleha doing this topic about wellness, especially when my focus is mainly Islam and Islamic spirituality? But I want to highlight that good health is an extremely important part of Islam. You know, we can't negate our physical well-being. Our bodies are an amanah, a trust from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for which we are responsible, and we're also accountable for our body. But also, we are so interconnected. So if we look after our physical well-being, it's going to play out on our mental well-being, spiritual well-being, and so forth, emotional well-being, and so forth, and vice versa. So our whole systems are interconnected, and this is why our physical well-being is so important, and that's why we have the lovely Derya with us. Now, Derya, I wanted to ask you a question. When we talked about well-being before, and you mentioned to me in a prior conversation that you see a lot of families who are just unwell, especially children. And so what kind of unwellness do you mean? What are you actually seeing?
Since operating a store and physically seeing people walk in for the past 2 years, Zuleha, I do see a lot of frazzled mums upset about their children being so unwell. And there seems to be a cycle of feeling better and then falling unwell again within weeks, particularly children who are in childcare and kinder and school. Even teenagers and adults complaining that they seem to feel run down all the time, unwell, catching every single cold and flu. And, it's been stated that potentially, Gen Z, they're going to be outlived by their parents. They may not have the life expectancy that their
Wow.
parents have. And I believe that one of the main factors for that is environmental factors, and it comes down to food and nutrition and our fast-paced lifestyle, high stress amongst mums and dads that inevitably is transferred amongst, throughout the family to children. We've got, our drinking water, although deemed, safe and ideal, best drinking water in Australia or the world rather. We've got fluoridation issue, we've got chlorinated water, we've got water with potential heavy metals. So we've got so many factors that we need to consider, mental health, emotional health, that all of these impact the overall well-being of a person. And interestingly enough, as a health coach, I never look at exclusively what's on someone's plate. We look at things very holistically. So if you would think of the pie, there are so many factors of that pie that need to be considered for overall health and well-being of a person. So what's their physical health like? How much movement are they doing? What's on their plate, actually? What's their mental health like? What is their social health like at school, at work? What's their spiritual health like? When all these pieces of the pie are at good percentages and they're all nourished and watered, then you're going to have an overall healthy and vital person. But when there's an aspect of it missing, there's going to be a void in that person's health somehow. So I believe a lot of the factors, I know we like to blame our genetics all the time, but genetics probably accounts for 5 to 10% of that unwellness. And the other 85 to 90 really is all the environmental factors that need to be considered.
Wow, wow. There's so much to unpack on that, but I can't get over that one of the first things you said where the parents are likely to outlive their children. And as you said that, I'm just thinking flashback to I've seen a number of cases where, the children have passed away and they're probably not even you said Gen Z, right? Yeah, so they're not even,
Yeah.
but they're in their 40s and 50s, and they're, a lot of parents that are burying their children, let's say. And I always thought this was quite unusual. And you're the first person who articulated that this is a pattern and potentially something we're going to see more of for the reasons you mentioned.
Unfortunately, it seems this was mentioned, I believe, in 2015. And now 20 years down the track, it's becoming a reality. We've got more cases of asthma, hay fever, children on the spectrum with ADHD, autism. You've got skin conditions like eczema, psoriasis occurring at very young ages. A lot of this comes down to gut dysbiosis, heavy metals in the body. There are so many things that we could unpack that we would be speaking for hours, Zuleha, if we could, about what constitutes good health and what contributes to poor health amongst children, adolescents, and even adults.
Okay, I guess one thing, you're right, we could talk for many hours, and that would be good, as in it's good to see that we can identify what the problems are or how we can overcome them. But it can also be overwhelming for a lot of people because they think, wow, there's so much to do. I don't know where to start. What would be your recommendation with regards to, yeah, where do you start?
You
It just
start
feels
with
like
food.
we've got everything wrong.
Yeah, we honestly need to start with their food because every single cell in their body requires nourishment. And the saying, as cliche as it is, you are what you eat, is correct, and you are what you absorb. So I find that a lot of us mothers and fathers and carers that are on the run, we are resorting to quick, fast food options. If you look at the supermarket, it's geared around getting you to throw as much processed food that's on special into your trolley versus the more fresh produce that actually comes with a hefty price tag. If you go to a supermarket, you'll notice that all the specials at the end of the aisle will be excessively cheap, very affordable, and the average mum that's on the run who's working 5 days a week is easily grabbing all of her snacks, all the roll-ups, all the Cummins muesli bars, and throwing those into the trolley and all the chips. And often kids are in there in the supermarket with mum saying, I want this, I want that. Frazzled mum, she's tired. She's thinking about what she's going to cook for dinner that night. She's thinking about the meeting that she has to attend tomorrow. Okay, just get it. And you know what? On the way home, I can't even be bothered cooking tonight. I'm so tired. Let's just do a drive-through Hungry Jack's Macca's, but please don't. It's boycott.
Mm,
So, you know, can you see the pattern that begins to eventuate
yeah.
with how the child's health progresses? Whereas the child that's eating at least 5 home-cooked meals per week is going to be
Mm,
far better well-nourished. The child
mm,
who's got a well-nourished, well-rounded lunchbox versus the child that's got 5 snacks in there that have been processed in a factory, high in sugar, high in vegetable oils and trans fats and saturated fats that aren't good for him or her, are not going to have the best health outcome. So it comes down to food, followed closely by good quality sleep, followed by minimizing technology, because we've become a technology globally technology driven. We're going into a generation of AI now, and to keep up
mhm.
with that and the pressures that exist with technology, children have got a device in their face all day, sometimes all day at school. And when they come home, they've got a device in their hand. They're watching television. There's so much screen time. We've completely disrupted these children's circadian rhythm. They've got
Yeah,
blue light exposure all day. And then I've got mums and dads saying, why don't my child just sleep at night? Well, hang on a
yeah,
minute. Let's unpack that. What did they do all day? What did they eat all day? How much screen time did they get all day? Did they get yelled at by frazzled parents and now they're emotionally, just that they've shut down from their parents? They're not feeling connection because the parent was, rushing from one task to the other. We're a very fast-paced society, Zuleha, and it's really overwhelming. But we
mm,
have to make a stop to this. We really have to look
yeah,
back at our behaviors and see how they're impacting our family dynamics, our family unit, and how it's
mm,
impacting all of our health, both emotionally, mentally, and physically in
yeah.
our lives.
I think just to highlight, I do want us to go into solution mode eventually, but to highlight how challenging this is for parents. I was speaking to a couple of parents who have sports activities for the children nearly every single night. And that in itself, like imagine you go to work all day and then you got to take your kid to soccer or basketball or what have you. And I'm like, wow, that sounds quite intensive. But they were saying, well, if we don't do that, the alternative is they'll be on their device. Whereas I guess go back 50 years ago, the kids would go out and play. So you didn't have to take them, physically to a place. They would go out and play. And that doesn't exist anymore. So they have to constantly, so there is so much more effort, it seems, for parents to create these healthy environments that naturally existed, let's say 50 years ago. So it is a lot of work for parents, isn't it?
It definitely is. We can't take, we can't take that away from them. It really is a lot of effort and work and sacrifice for parents to do that. But by the same token, I believe that having a child in an activity after school 5 days a week isn't necessarily the most healthy thing to do, to have a child so overworked that they never really get downtime. The child doesn't know how to do nothing and just be bored, because with boredom comes creativity. How many times on this school break have I heard my son and daughter, my youngest 8-year-old and 4-year-old, say, "Mum, I'm bored." And I've said, well, you know what? That's great, because now it means you're going to switch your brain on and you're going to figure things out to do. You're either going to go outside into the garden, or you're going to go outside on your scooter, or you're going to open up a puzzle, or get your coloring and activities out, because we're not doing screen time, buddy. And I've created boundaries. Again, what parents tend to be lacking these days, because we're so committed to work, perhaps caring for someone that we love as a carer, we've got so much on our plate that we've become yes parents. Yes, okay, just do it, because I need you to stop bothering me and stop nagging. Whereas we have
I
to
also,
introduce healthy boundaries back in and be able to say, no,
yeah,
and this is why, and here's an alternative, or here's
yeah.
another option.
I also feel that we don't always understand the serious implications of these things. Like when you mentioned, diet, how our diet can impact us. I'll give you an analogy. Like when a child hits their foot somewhere and it bruises, you know to be cautious with that child, not to do that. Cause and effect. They hit it, they bruise, not good. Whereas, say with food or using devices, we don't instantly see those bruises, let's say, and therefore sometimes I feel parents think, oh, it's not so bad for my children because look, they're functioning. They might have a few. They might be a bit, active, hyperactive, or so forth, but they look okay. They look healthy. Do you think there's sometimes parents are not truly convinced that all this effort is worth it, basically?
Yes, I would definitely believe so. But you still see some of the signs that they have. For example, if a child is
Mm.
on their PlayStation or their Xbox, or they're in front of a television, and you instantly grab that remote and you turn the television off, you will see a very nasty reaction in most instances, because you've just taken their dopamine away from them. If you just automatically switched off the game as they were playing midway, you would definitely see a reaction, because what happens is every time these children are in front of a screen, it's like a drug. They're being fed. They're so engaged. You can call their name out, they won't even hear you until you've switched it
Mhm.
off, and then you can get a breakdown. The child will literally break down. They might, in some cases, swear back at the parent, and they'll just be miserable for the rest of the day. So everything in moderation. We can't take technology away from them, but we have to talk about the potential harms of it. For example, if I take my children to the supermarket, they're children. They will reach for things that they see in their friends' lunchboxes at school. Mum, why can't I have a roll up? Why can't I have the little snack and the salt and vinegar chips that my friends have? And instead of saying it's bad for you, come on, we don't have time, let's move on, I actually make the effort to stop there and pick up the packaging and say, okay, Emmy, let's have a look at the back. Read these ingredients. I read it out to him. I said, did any of those make sense to you? He goes, no. Whereas if we're eating real food, the ingredients should make sense, surely. And I'll say to him, see all those numbers there and all those chemical terms in there. Do you really want that in your body? Or do you want what mum puts you in your lunchbox, which is all recognizable and your body can recognize it? And I give him like little sort of visuals where I say, every time you eat something that's got vegetable oil in it, or it's got excessive amounts of sugar in it, your body has a red flag. Little red alarms go off in your body saying, I don't know what to do with this food, inflammation.
Mm,
I've taught him all
mm,
these key words. And I say, when you have the nude food that I pack in your lunchbox, your body is so happy that you've given protein to your muscles and you've given quality sugars to your brain to function until lunchtime. And XYZ, all the vitamins and minerals to keep you healthy and strong. So you're not falling ill all the time. When we break it down like this, Suleha, honestly, their face changes. He just goes, okay, yeah, I
yeah.
don't want that anymore. It's far better to give them an explanation once than to say, no, you can't have that, it's bad for you 10 times.
So as you were speaking, I'm thinking, Daria, how many parents would know to be able to articulate it the way you are? So to me, then we as parents need to educate ourselves. Like it is a responsibility upon us to be able to educate and even think of, okay, how will I explain this to my child? Because like you said, a lot of the time, if a parent says, that's it, my kids are going to eat healthy from now on, their understanding of healthy, and a child doesn't want something that's not healthy, they would be like, it's bad for you. It's bad for you. That's why you can't have it.
And
Exactly what
that's
you
not good
said.
enough. I wouldn't take that as an answer. As an adult, if
Mm.
someone said to me, sorry, Derya, you can't eat that, you can't buy that, you can't go there, it's bad for you, that's almost insulting my intelligence. Well, how about you tell me why? How about you give me a reason? Children are very intelligent. We
Convince
need to
me,
give them
isn't it?
far more credit than we do and give them an explanation that they deserve. And you know what,
Okay.
Zuleika, the other thing I would
Yeah.
recommend all of your viewers to do is to download an app called The Chemical Maze. It's $11 for life. And when you go to the supermarket, most people aren't well equipped to know what all those numbers and fancy words on the back of a package are. As soon as you type that number into this app, it'll tell you whether it's naturally derived, petroleum derived. Yes, believe it or not, many of the colors and flavors in children's food products and cereals are derived from petroleum as the raw product. And it'll tell you if it's
You mean the
been
numbers and the emulsifying numbers?
correct. I mean, there are
Mm.
so many numbers. There are actually color numbers. There are
Okay.
flavor numbers. There's flavor enhancers like 621. Flavor enhancers are in every single flavored chips on the shelf, and it's a neurotoxin. It affects
Oh,
the
wow.
child's brain cells and nervous system. Some people react to flavor enhancers by having itchy rashes and hives. Then you've got natural, products that say no sugar, and the parent goes, "Oh, perfect." But they don't realize that the natural sugars have been substituted with an artificial sugar called aspartame, which is 951. And you don't have to know these numbers off by heart. The app will do all the hard work for you. You just need to invest $11 in it. I have no affiliation with this app, but I've
Mm.
been using it for more than 15 years. And now I don't need the app. I pick up a product and I go, I remember that number. I remember that ingredient. That's not going in my trolley. Mums and dads need to realize we are the boss of the trolley. So when mums say to me, I don't know what to do, all my child does is eat junk, the first question I ask is, who's the boss of the trolley? And often it's the mum. She'll say, it's me. I say, why are you bringing that food into the house if you don't want your children to be consuming it? She'll say, oh, you're right, Derya, but it's the only thing they'll eat. So really, taste bud adjustment and acquiring taste for good food starts at a very young age, but it's
Mm.
not late to help someone
Never,
who's 10 years of
never
age
late.
or a
Yeah.
teenager. You never lose hope with these things.
Better
It
late
takes
than never.
time to create a habit, and sometimes you have to introduce a food to the child 8 to 10 times before they're willing to taste it. So we just need
Yeah.
to persevere.
Wow. Yeah. So we need to persevere. And it's from what, have you seen examples where of children, particularly, it sounds like it, you're focused and you're seeing a lot of children or even adults where, before they change their diet and after, what kind of, I know they would be unique cases, but what kind of changes have you seen within them?
Okay, with adults, I tend to see them report back that they're feeling lighter and more vital. They feel like they've had this energy shift because the body is now eating food that it recognizes. So the inflammation is lowered. When the inflammation is lowered, they're not so sluggish. They're not so tired. They're not experiencing brain fog. They don't wake up in the morning and think, oh, I can't get out of bed. I'm exhausted. There's a level of vitality and energy, and you can actually see it in their eyes, in the whites of
Mm.
their eyes, versus someone who is in unfortunately, a trap of poor food choices. With the children, it's very similar, but because children are still so young, they're still very energetic. They haven't quite done the damage that an adult has done by the time they reach their 20 plus period. With children, it's more behavioral changes that you'll see. So they won't be so jumpy all over the walls. They'll be more cool, calm, and collected. But their eyes are
Mm.
still vital. They're still glowing. They're still vibrant and still, they'll jump out of bed in the morning, not a problem. But at night, they're more settled. And during the
Mm.
day, particularly in the classrooms, they're more attentive and more focused because they haven't just come in from having a Red Bull at lunchtime. They've had a bottle of water. They haven't just had a pie from the canteen. They've had a tuna salad sandwich. It really makes a huge difference. I mean, being a teacher myself for 12 years, I've seen a lot, but I've got friends in primary school teaching who say, Derya, if you saw what children are being packed for lunch these days, you would sit and cry. It is a sad state of affairs. So we really need to create a shift and change amongst parents and carers to ensure that we're educated so that we can educate our future children, which are the assets of the future.
Yeah, definitely. So it will have ramifications. If I was a parent with young kids, and this is all new information to me, what would be the first step that you would recommend for someone who's illiterate in this space completely?
Sure. I would honestly say, that saying that says failure to plan is plan to fail. If
Mm,
a parent is planned and has a shopping list every weekend or whatever day your shopping day
mm,
is, and you know exactly what you want to purchase to create healthy lunch boxes for yourself at work and for your child at school, you would have an entire list ready and you would meal prep for not, it doesn't even have to be half a day. That's probably exaggerating it. A couple of hours a week where, for instance, you want to enjoy all your fruits and berries and have some hummus ready for quick snacking. You want to have your carrots and your celery ready. Just do a big chop up of all your
mm,
carrots and celery, for example. Put them in tubs of water into your fridge because the water will keep them nice and crisp. You've got carrots now for 7 days and celery. Get all your berries. We're in summer now, but every fruit has its beauty and has its season. So wash all your berries up in the sink. It's just going to be one wash up. Empty all the
mm,
punnets in there, dry them on the bench, and then put them away in containers so that every morning when you're packing that lunchbox for your entire family, you've got things ready to go rather than waking up every morning and go, what do I do
yes, what to
today?
do.
What do I cook today? If you've got meal plans for the rest of the week, you'll know each week what to defrost. You'll know what to take out from the night before. It's all about planning. When you are planned and you've got your pantry and your fridge armed with all the right food, it's very unlikely that you're going to slip and do a fast food drive through or a kebab that night
That's
or
so
that day.
true.
It
That's so
really is
true.
about planning.
And you probably would save a lot of money as well because,
Oh,
yeah,
heaps, heaps.
takeaway is not cheap these days. Fast food is not cheap, and it's not also obviously healthy as well. So that sounds very good. Meal preps. So there you go, everyone. Meal preps is a good way to start, especially as you said when kids start school.
The other thing I wanted to say, which is really important, which was in the news a lot recently, Zuleha, is the quality of our tap water. Now, they're finding forever
Mm,
chemicals in our tap water. We already know that we've got fluoride and chlorine in our tap water, and science has proven time and time again that fluoride consumption is not conducive to good health. It's actually impacting our IQ as a population. We don't
mm,
need to be ingesting fluoride from our water supply. So if a family can afford it, because what I notice a lot of families do in the supermarket when I'm shopping, they are getting casks and casks of bottled
bottled water.
water, which is sitting in plastic, which has got microplastics in that water. The average human is consuming approximately a credit card of plastic per week. That's alarming. If we can invest in a water filtration system and just start perhaps with a jug, just a jug, might
Mm,
cost you 100, maybe $200 out of pocket for a jug for the family. You might want to go to a benchtop water filter, or if your financial means allow for it, perhaps a whole household filtration system.
right,
You are
right.
70% water, and the quality of what you consume is really important. So your food and your water would be where I would first approach your overall health and well-being of your entire family, and then I would move into low tox products in the entire home, because what you apply on your body is equally important. It goes straight into your bloodstream, and I'm referring to shampoos, conditioners, women and
Mm,
their cosmetics and skincare products, men and their aftershave and their colognes, perfumes. I mean, we're opening up a can of worms here, Zuleha, and I could go on and on,
yeah.
but perfume is the next big smoking problem. Perfumes and artificial fragrances that we plug into our homes, that we spray on our body, that we have in our cars hanging, those hanging smelly things that we get into the car. These all contain a chemical called phthalates, and phthalates are hormone disruptors. They will disrupt the hormone of a child all the way through to an adult. And we need to
Mm.
eliminate these synthetic fragrances from our lives. And we just need to ventilate the home. Or we need to use
There-
products with natural essential oils. It's not that hard. It's
It's
about
not
being
that, yeah.
informed.
I think that's why I like your shop, Organic Instinct, it's called, right? And I've been to it. It's amazing. Every item in there you have chosen specifically yourself, haven't you? So if
Correct.
someone walks in there, they could be confident. They don't have to look at the ingredients. They don't have to check the quality. Is that correct?
That'd be 100%. The number of customers, Aleha, that come in and say, I shop blindly in Organic Instincts because I know Derya's done all the hard yards. I've spent hours scouring products. We've got close to 2,000 products in our stores, Aleha, and I have vetted every single one of them. I don't give that responsibility to anyone, and I don't take the responsibility very lightly. So from the fact that everything is halal to the fact that everything is low tox is something that we take great pride in our store.
That's fantastic. I will put the link because you do have also online delivery Australia-wide. I
Correct.
don't know if you have do you have international?
Not yet.
Not yet,
Something for
but watch this.
2025.
Watch this space, everyone.
I
I
love
do think that really helps when you can, rather than going to a supermarket where you have to look for it yourself. And, for some parents, they may need to do that. The idea that you can go into one location and be confident that you can pick up anything that you need and you don't have to think, oh, is this the right product? Is it good enough? Something to do. Okay, I'm conscious of the time. Is there one last message you would like to give before we wrap up?
Ladies and gents, it's never too late to create change. It's never a hopeless case. You could be 50 and want to make a change. Don't start tomorrow, start today because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And, start with simple things that are achievable, that are affordable. A lot of mums, they say to me, oh, Daria, it's just too hard to do everything. And I say, why do you have to do everything? Do you
Mm.
think that I did everything overnight? This has been a 20-year journey for me since the birth of my first child. And I've been learning and I'm still learning at this age and this level of experience. So, can we just start somewhere and take baby steps to achieve the best version of our health and well-being, inshallah?
Inshallah. I love that. That sounds very doable. Thank you for your valuable time. And audience, ladies and gents, brothers and sisters, if there's particular topics you would like, put in the comments and you never know, we might get Daria to come back. Would love to have you back and maybe break down some of those other topic areas that you mentioned, Daria. But once again, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Zuleha. Absolute pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for listening in.